If you look at anyone who's made it big in life financially, whether they did it through a regular job, maybe they are a business owner, maybe some of them even got there by investing. Well, if you look at them, you notice that one thing in common that they have is that they take risks. The type of risk that they take, maybe it will differ by person to person, but the truth is, at one point in their life, they had to make a decision and they took a leap of faith. But most people, they tend to avoid risk. They don't like, the feeling of losing if they take on a risk. They tend to be a lot more risk averse. I see this myself with my own followers who, don't want to invest their money in the stock market because they're afraid of losing their hard-earned money. Personally, I have taken my fair share of risks in my life, and I think it's gotten me to a very good place, but I'll share more about this at the end of this video. But for now, let's talk about taking risks. First of all, I want to say that there is nothing wrong with trying to play it safe with any decision that you make. I think this is just human nature, right? Human nature is we want to feel safe, we want to feel secure, we don't want to have too much uncertainty in our lives. But this can really hinder your ability to be successful, whether it's in your career or financially as a whole. I'm not saying it's impossible to, be successful if you just take it slow and steady, don't take on too much risk. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just think it's going to be a lot harder. Let me share a few examples of this that I have seen personally with people that are around me. So one is, I've noticed that some people, they tend to stick with low-paying jobs just because they feel comfortable, they've been there for so long, and it feels very secure. What if they decided, to move jobs and it doesn't work out and maybe they get fired? Then there are people who have very good ideas to start businesses, but they never want to take the leap. They never want to try because what if they try to start their business and then they fail? That can be very embarrassing, people around you knowing that you failed in business, and maybe in a bad case scenario, you could even lose quite a bit of money. And the final one, I've seen this a lot with Malaysians, but I'm pretty sure it happens all over the world as well. And this is when it comes to their money, when it comes to their savings and investments, they only want to keep it in things like savings accounts or at the very most fixed deposits. Their thinking is like, I worked so hard to earn this money, to save up this sum of cash. What if I invest it into the stock market and then I lose it all? Right? Whenever I talk about investing in my videos, I've done a few of these, I always get comments where people ask, is this PIDM protected? And most of the times investments are not PIDM protected. So these people, they tend to stay away. The thing that a lot of people don't realize is that if you keep playing it safe with your decisions, if you always, try to avoid risk, that in itself, it's also risky because you end up not growing and you could fall behind. By the way, if any of you guys want to start taking on more risk with your savings and investments and you want to invest in the stock market, then check out Moomoo. They're a really great broker. The UI is extremely simple and you'll be able to invest in both the US and Malaysian stock markets. So check it out. The link will be down below in the description. Now, I'm not saying that you should go all in and you should be reckless with your risk taking, like going to the casino to gamble or putting your entire life savings on something like Fartcoin. You need to be smart about it. You need to take calculated risks. For example, with investing, yes, it is inherently risky, but you can do something like buying an ETF instead of just buying one single stock to diversify and reduce your risk. Let's say if you invest in just one stock, even if that company is Apple, there are a lot of risks that you're exposed to, not just the overall market, but there could be things like, let's say, accounting fraud. Let's say they have a very bad earnings report. Maybe they just fall out of favor. These are all risks you need to consider. But if you invest into something like the S&P 500, you suddenly own 500 different companies that no one single company is that important to your portfolio. So yeah, you reduce a lot of risk with your investing. If you wanted to start a business, then no one says you have to go all in straight away. No one says you need to quit your job to start a brand new business and dump your entire life savings trying to grow it. Instead, you can start small. Test your ideas, see if it works. If it works, then great, you can consider where to go from there. Maybe quit your job and go full time. If it fails, then, oh well, just move on with life. Failure is normal. I think a lot of people need to learn to accept failure because a lot of rich people, they know that if you don't take on risks, then there will be no great reward. So Ray Dalio, he is one of the most successful hedge fund managers in the world. He wrote this in his book. Imagine that in order for you to have a great life, you have to cross a dangerous jungle. You can stay safe where you are, and have a normal life. Everything will be normal, maybe good, maybe bad. But if you wanted to have a really great life, if you wanted to have an amazing life, then you need to take the risk and cross the jungle. What would you do? You need to take a moment to think about this because at a certain point in your life, you will have to make these kind of decisions. So I know that in theory, this sounds really simple, right? Everyone would want to have a chance of a really good life taking on that risk. But I know that in reality, things are not so easy because the truth is, yes, you can fail and things could get worse. So there are a few things that I did personally to help me take risks. So let me just share that with you. Number one, the first thing that you want to do is to build a financial safety net. So trust me, this is, in my opinion, the best way to help you be comfortable with taking on more risk, because you know that whatever you do, even if you fail, at least you're not going to be, struggling out on the streets eating rice and cucumber every single day. You know that at least you have some money saved up to keep you afloat. I know that, I tell people that you should take risks. In this video, I'm telling you guys that you should take risks, but the reality is, if you don't have a financial safety net, it's going to be very, very hard for you. That's why I always say that having an emergency fund is the number one step for you in personal finance. Saving anywhere between 6 to 12 months worth of your expenses will really help you feel a lot more financially stable and secure, and it can help you take on more risks. After going through this myself, I really believe that the number one factor or the number one reason why rich people get richer is because they have money and they are willing to take risks. So they have a lot of money, they're willing to take some risks, some of the risks work out really well, and they get even richer. Whereas, if you're someone who doesn't have money, doesn't have savings, you can't even take the risk in the first place. So whatever it takes, whether you have to grind and hustle and save, whatever it takes, take your time, build out that financial safety net, get to 12 months worth of expenses saved up in cash. Second thing that you want to do is you want to start slow and start small, so you don't have to go all in right from the start like I was saying. Instead, you can, let's take an example of investing. Right now, you are 100% of your cash into fixed deposits and you want to consider taking on some risk. You don't have to take all of your cash and dump it straight into the stock market or crypto. Instead, you can do something like, instead of having everything in FD, let's just take 10% and put it into the stock market. Let's see how that feels. Maybe sometimes you will lose money, see how you react to it. And as you get more and more comfortable, you can slowly up the allocation to 20%, then 30%, and then up and up and up to the point that you are extremely comfortable with investing. So yeah, you can start slow, start small, but eventually you will increase your risk appetite. Finally, whenever you guys are put into these kind of situations where you have to make a decision, either to play it safe or take on a risk, try shifting your mindset from a fear of failure to a fear of regret. I don't know about you guys, but for me, at the end of my life, I'll probably regret more the risk that I didn't take rather than the things that I tried and failed. Jeff Bezos himself, he shared this story many times. Basically, when he wanted to start out his business, which today is Amazon, I'm sure all of you guys know that, he was faced with a very tough decision because he had to think, should he take on this risk? At that point, he had a very good banking job and he was earning quite a good amount of money. So he thought to himself, at the end of his life, when he's 80 years old in his rocking chair, which would he regret more? He knew that he was not going to regret trying this business, taking this risk, even if it meant that he was going to fail. There is the possibility that he would fail. But he also knew that one thing he would regret when he was 80 years old is never even trying. So I guess the decision for him was simple. He quit his job, he started his business. Today it's Amazon, today it's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Obviously, not all of us is going to go through that path, but this is just the kind of mindset that you need to think about when you need to make these decisions. And this is kind of similar to what I experienced over the last 1.5 to 2 years. So back then, I used to work in corporate, I used to work at Grab, but I always wondered over the last few years, I think, what would it be like if I tried to go out on my own, go be self-employed, and how would that be? And then one day, while I was doing my emails, making my slides, I just thought to myself, I'm not getting any younger. If I wanted to take this risk of going out on my own and going full-time into my business, which today is my YouTube and a few other things, then now is the right time. So I used the same framework that Jeff Bezos had because someone told me about it before. And I was thinking, which one would I regret more? Would I regret not trying to go full-time, or would I regret quitting Grab? And I guess the answer for me was clear, so I quit my job and here I am today. It was a big risk for me because, I could have, and I still can fail in this venture, I guess. And if that happened, I knew that I would have to go back to corporate, waste a few years of my life, maybe 2 to 3 years, and then go back to a similar level, having had no growth in my career over the last few years. Maybe even start lower than where I was before. But, I knew this risk and I was comfortable taking it on and I wanted to just do it anyway. So far, things have been going very well. In my first full year as someone who is self-employed, which is 2024, I have far exceeded the amount of income that I made compared to when I was still working a full-time job. So yes, so far, things have been going very, very well. And the only reason I would say that I was able to take this risk on, the only reason that I could make this decision was because at the time, I had quite a bit of money saved up. I had, I think, 2 years worth of my expenses. So I knew that even if I didn't make any money for 2 years, I can still survive. Obviously, it's not nice using my savings, but like I said, it was a risk and I was willing to take it. And this risk so far has really paid off for me. Like I said, 2024, I think my income went up by maybe 2 to 3x compared to where I was before I quit my job. And 2025 so far is going very well as well, which is why I'm making this video, because I really think it's a very important concept that more people need to consider. Whether it's with your investments, with your career, with your business, whatever it is, like I said, I'm not saying go all in with risk taking, but at least consider it. If you're someone who is naturally very risk averse, like I said, that is normal. That's just human nature, I think. But try to take on a bit more risk every single day until you increase your risk appetite, because it can really, really pay off for you. So that's my view on risk taking. This is a slightly different kind of video, I guess, very personal. I hope you guys enjoy this type of content. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video till the end, guys. Give me a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.